Drop the gun! Show me your hands!
Birmingham, Alabama had 9 homicides in 9 days from March 20th through March 29th. Police Chief Scott Thurmond addressed these murders, and here's how he described them. On March 20th, Devarta Thomas, 30 years old, was killed. Jamarian Carpenter, 25 years old, is charged with capital murder. These individuals were acquaintances, and this homicide occurred inside a vehicle. On March 20th, again, 29-year-old James Washington was killed. 44-year-old Claude Hardy was charged with his murder. This was a dispute over a firearm that occurred inside an apartment. It's very hard to see how law enforcement could intervene in either of those two. On March 20th, Kenneth Earl Harris Jr., 42 years old, was killed. His home was shot into, and we believe this was due to some of his past dealings. Basically, he was involved in some activity that might possibly be illegal and was engaging with some individuals who are not of the utmost character. On March 21st, 48-year-old Michael Kimbrough was killed. This occurred in the street, and this was most likely due to some of his previous dealings as well. On March 22nd, 44-year-old Frederick Sykes was killed. He was specifically targeted due to his dealings with narcotics. His door was kicked in, and this homicide occurred inside his residence. On March 26th, 17-year-old Caleb Witt was killed. Unfortunately, Mr. Witt was with a group of people who were shooting into a home, and some individuals returned fire, unfortunately striking Mr. Witt. There again, we have a 17-year-old out engaging in illegal activity, possessing a firearm, and he lost his life. This could have been prevented had Mr. Witt not been engaged in this type of activity. March 26th, 25-year-old Demetrius Davis was killed. Byron Steele, 51 years old, is charged with capital murder. Mr. Steele's son was shot in a previous situation. Mr. Steele believed that the Birmingham Police Department was not taking enough action, and in reality, Mr. Steele's son, who is an adult, refused to cooperate with police. So Mr. Steele took matters into his own hands, which now has resulted in him being in the Jefferson County Jail for capital murder. On March 28th, 37-year-old Sidney Cornell Saxton was killed. He was engaged in a shootout with 2 other individuals. We currently have 1 male on an investigative hold. There again, engaging in activities they shouldn't have been engaging in led to Mr. Saxton's death. And then on March 29th, 16-year-old Jada Mahogany White was killed. She and 3 other 17-year-old females had been out drinking, driving around, and were damaging a vehicle when someone began shooting at them, and unfortunately, she lost her life. 2 of the victims were students at Jackson Olin High School, and the chief said about the Jada White incident that the 16-year-old was out drinking, driving around, and damaging vehicles at 2:30 a.m., asking, where were the parents? Did their parents know where they were? Did their parents know that they were consuming alcohol? Did the parents know that they were out at 2:24 in the morning? I don't think so, and that's a problem. We're not babysitters, he said. That's not our job. Following Jada's homicide, her friends were brought to the police headquarters for questioning. We had one of the females passed out and throwing up in our police car. Throwing up here, so she's unable to speak to us. They're juveniles, and we can't find their parents to come up here so we can question them. One of the females even told us, I don't have time to deal with this right now. I have to be home by 7 a.m. Well, 7 a.m. is not an acceptable curfew. The police chief went on to say that the parents are the police of the children. The police are the police of the community. There have been 31 homicides in Birmingham so far this year, a city that saw 152 last year, a record high for the city, giving it a murder rate of 76.9 per 100,000 people. This place is far from safe, and the police chief is calling out the parents. Arrests have been made in 3 of these 9 homicides, and a suspect has been detained in a 4th one.